Good morning, students. Today we will start our lesson with chapter 13, the Pythagoras Theorem. So, let's see what are the Pythagoras Theorem together. Who is the Pythagoras? This is the picture of the Pythagoras. Pythagoras born in 569 before century until 475 before century. He is a very ancient Greek philosopher, and he also the first person who proved the Pythagoras theorem. So already few times we mentioned about the Pythagoras theorem. Actually, what are the Pythagoras theorems? Well, Pythagoras says when the triangle has a right angles which is 90 degree and the squares are met on each of the three sides. So what are the Pythagoras have done? This is what are the Pythagoras do. First, he take three pieces of the paper with different sides. Then, in consequently, when he arranged these three paper together, he found out the right angle triangle or be produced inside the center. And then, when he calculate the square or the area of each paper, he found out the relationship is even amazing. What are the relationship? Now, this is how the calculation been done by the Pythagoras. First, he calculate the area for this paper and he found it's a 9. So you can imagine this side is the 3 unit. So for the paper here is a square, segi 4 sama. And then this is the second one, he got the 16. And then when he arranged three of the numbers here, he found out the largest paper or the largest area, which is 25, is equal to the sum up of these two areas. So, what are the conclusion can be made? Let's see what are the theorem being taken to us. So this is the proof, which means 25 is equals to 9 plus 16. So now, what are the meaning of the hypotenuse here? Hypotenuse here refer to one of the side of the right angle triangle. And how do I can define the Pythagoras theorem? This is more proof to showing the relationship between three sides of the right angle triangle. You can see here, three different papers being used to build up a right angle triangle here. And then when I calculate the area of this square, I will find out the same result, which means these are the largest area here and these are the total to sum up the two of the other square. You can see here the calculation is already showing. So since the hypotenuse always is a sum of the two sides of the triangle, hence the hypotenuse is the right angle triangle is the longest side opposite to the right angle. When you study the polygons, you already know we got one of the triangle which is the right angle triangle. When we have the right angle triangle, inside the triangle they always show they got one of the right angle staying there. When you can determine the position of the right angle, the opposite of the right angle, so these are the hypotenuse. These we call the hypotenuse because they are very important when we move to our Pythagoras theorem. So, every time when you want to determine the position of the hypotenuse, you have to make sure you identify first the right angle. And this is the proof for the side. What are the Pythagorean theorem tell us? Well, the theorem actually means the statement to prove to be true always. So which means when the Pythagoras come out with this Pythagoras theorem, every time we got the three suitable paper which arranged in the same position, you will always get the accurate result for the right angle triangle. This is how they call them as a theorem. And then this is the relationship between the three sides. You can see here the first is the A, So A is the height and the B will be the base. So when A square, please imagine always the square is the things that putting here. So when the A square plus with the B square, always we can get the amount of the C square here. So you can see they say the hypotenuse is the side opposite with the right angle. Always determine the symbol of the right angle and then you can get your hypotenuse. Then this is the hypotenuse theorem. When we want to state the hypotenuse theorem, this is how the way we write. So, state that for a right angle triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. Always remember the square here also means luas bagi segi empat sama. Okay, so when you have the square, you must remember what are the square is meaning here. Next, how do you determine the length of the unknown side of the right angle triangle? Very simple question showing here, and then please calculate the value of the x. Now I give you a right angle triangle. I give you the side of the base is 12 and then the height is 16, and then please determine the value of the x. So before we start our questions, always determine the hypotenuse every time you start the question. How do you determine the hypotenuse? You have to find out the way or where is the position of the right angle. The opposite of the side is the hypotenuse. Since our x is the hypotenuse, when we put inside our hypotenuse theorem, we will have to say x squared is equals to 12 square plus 16 square. After that, we will calculate according to our numbers. And then please always remember you have to move to the square root, and after that only you can get your final answer. Please remember to square root the number in order to get the final answer. Please remember that. Okay, so now we look at the questions. In the below diagram, PQRS is a trapezium where PS and QR are two parallel sides. Find the length of the PQ. So here they give you the trapezium. So what we do to find the PQ? What are the relation between the Pythagoras theorem? Well, you can see since we already learned the trapezium, so now we move to check some of the information about the trapezium. When we talk about the trapezium, actually they got two parallel lines. This we already know when we learn about the polygons. After that, when we learn about the perimeter and area, we know the formula of area for trapezium. But after that, can you use the area of the trapezium to calculate the PQ? No, because the formula of the area for trapezium only involve two parallel lines and also the height. They didn't involve the PQ. So how do we going to find the value of the PQ? We can use the Pythagoras theorem. We got three steps to do. The first one is when we want to use the Pythagoras theorem, the right angle triangle must be determined because we have to determine where is the hypotenuse, so we can put in the three sides according to the relationship. But now we look at the trapezium, we don't have the Pythagoras, we don't have the right angle triangle, but we can build our own right angle triangle here. So you can do a line here. After that, this is our right angle triangle. How we know when I draw a line, then this is a right angle triangle? You look at the information they given. Since here is the right angle, so if I put a parallel line here, the parallel line which means parallel with SR, so here also will be the right angle. Next, determine the length of each side for the right angle triangle that we just built and form the relationship between them. So here I will have 24 centimeter. How about here? Here I will take 15 minus 8, so I will determine here will be my 7. And here, I don't know. That's why I have to find the length of the PQ. The third step is I put inside my Pythagoras Theorem. Since my PQ is the hypotenuse, that's why PQ square equals to 7 square plus 24 square. Next, I will expand it according to the numbers. After that, I have to do the square root, and then finally I found out my answer will be 25 centimeter. Is it very simple for you? So this question can also be the continuous for our perimeter. Please remember your perimeters, okay? So when we can conquer this Pythagoras theorem, a lot of the questions that we can do, including the perimeter and also the area of the polygons. So that's all for today's here. Every morning you have two choices: continue to sleep with your dreams, or you wake up and you chase them. I hope you can do the good choice from these two. That's all for today's girl. Thank you.